What's up, everybody? Cameron here. I'm happy that you're here. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you're staying sane in this period of time of coronavirus. I know it's been a long time since we've been. Well, every day seems like a year now, and I think we've been in quarantine here for maybe like 2 to 2.5 weeks. We started quarantining ourselves before it was mandatory. We were self-quarantining beforehand because we just didn't want to spread anything if we had it. We also didn't want to catch it, of course. I'm in Los Angeles, for those of you who don't know. I expect things here to get potentially worse over the next couple weeks. I'm really hopeful, though, that everything that we've been doing here in LA has been able to flatten the curve. And that's what I've been hearing, at least for the most part, that we've been flattening the curve as much as we can. All that being said, I really hope all of you are doing okay. I hope this content is helping you mentally. I hope it's helping you in all regards of life. And I hope it's educational and entertaining at the same time. If you're brand new here, just want to say welcome to the channel. My name's Cameron. I'm walking through my story of my eating disorder, my story with anorexia. I'm helping people recover, but I'm also diving deep into mental health and what finding mental happiness looks like for myself right now since I've overcome my anorexia. So if you want to join in the conversation, if you want to subscribe, feel free. You can join the Cam fam. That's you. It's us. We are the Cam fam. Today is, I would consider today a special episode. I am diving a little bit deeper into my story of what happened with anorexia in my life visually. Meaning, I'm basically going to walk you through the timeline of how anorexia has affected my life through pictures, visually. So I'm going to jump back all the way to my childhood. I'm not going to show you every single year of my life, but I'm going to center all these photos around what anorexia has done to me and what recovery looks like. I'm doing this for a couple reasons. I know that showing pictures like this can be dangerous because of just the implications for someone going through it right now. But I'm approaching this in a safe way. I'm not going to show any body shots or any body pictures. I might talk about weight, just an FYI for those of you who are watching. But I think that actually visually walking through how anorexia has affected me since I started developing it really helps us all visualize, even myself, visualize what the change, what the ebb and flow of an eating disorder looks like. I'm going to touch on what happened to me in college as well, so you'll be able to visually see what my anorexia looked like when I developed it in 7th and 8th grade, what recovery looked like, and then what relapse looked like for me in college, all the way up until now. So I'm going to visually show you a couple pictures each year through the progression of development, recovery, relapse, and recovery again. I hope that this helps connect with you in a lot of ways. I hope that this shows you what recovery actually looks like in an eating disorder. And also, you get to see some of my cringe pics from my middle school years. Middle school was not a good time for me. It was and it wasn't. And you get to see the blunder year pics. I already pre-planned some of these photos. Some of them are pretty funny. You get to see a snapshot of my life through some of these photos. So I hope that you enjoy this. If you want my full and complete explanation of my story, I have another episode up. Feel free to check that out if you want to. That being said, let's jump into some pics and let's dive into what the development of an eating disorder looks like and what the recovery looks like as well. Really, I have no problem showing my photos of my past. At first, it was when I recovered. It's tough to look back sometimes, but I feel completely okay now showing these photos to you and looking at them myself. So let's do it. Let's walk through what happened visually, what development looks like, what recovery looks like, and what relapses looks like. So this first photo that you're seeing is me as a kid. That's my brother on the left. Maybe I was like 6 to 8 in this photo, right? So this is me as a kid. As a kid, I was just a happy kid. Loved playing video games. In this photo, playing soccer. I didn't really love playing soccer, but I played it anyways. I was just doing life, being a kid. This was before any of those eating disorder thoughts started to develop. This is me in, I believe, 5th grade. As you can see, I was in band class. I played the trumpet. Was a great trumpet player. Just kidding. I liked playing the trumpet, though. I liked being in band. And we had the choice of either being in band or being in choir. I chose band, and I wanted to play the trumpet, so that's what I did, right? So I would say during this time, like this period of my life in 5th to 6th grade, is when these thoughts of comparison, I think, first started popping up. And if you watch my story, you'll know that I really was the hardest on myself. Like there wasn't anyone else around me calling me names or calling me fat or anything like that. I was more the person who was telling myself those things. I was being really hard on me with how I felt. I was comparing myself to everybody else, feeling like I was bigger than everybody else, and I was putting myself down as a result. So this is 5th grade. This is 6th grade. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. That's 6th grade me with the old Pepsi shirt. This is my family. That's my brother to my left, my mom to my right, my dad all the way on the left. And, you know, this is, I would say, when my parents, I think, and my family always described me as, quote unquote, an old soul. And so I think that I really was a jokester, but I also took a lot of things pretty seriously. And this is really when I think a lot of those thoughts started to manifest more seriously. And so like this transition of 5th to 6th grade is really like the manifestation of when those thoughts started to pop into my head. And it was the result of a lot of comparison, like I said before. And so that comparison between myself and others and the voice inside of my head and really like manifesting that voice is what started to put me in more of a rough spot. So that was 6th grade, and then the transition into 7th grade, and this next photo is going to be of me in 7th grade, is where things really started to go downhill more. And you can kind of even tell like the 6th grade photo all the way to the 7th grade photo, like this is not a lot of time that's passed, but already you can really see a lot has changed, honestly. Just even literally my physical appearance. One of the effects of developing anorexia has to do with affecting your hair. And as you can see, like just from this photo, my hair really started to thin out a lot in that like mid 7th grade stage of my life. This photo is not, I would say, at my worst. This is though when I would say like 6th grade was the hump when things started to turn, and the manifestation of those thoughts resulted in me eventually cutting back on eating food. I was playing soccer also during that time, and the result of both of those things really led me to lose a lot of weight really quick over the summer from 6th grade to 7th grade. And the photo you're seeing now is probably more the middle of, or the start of my 7th grade year. And that's really when those thoughts started to manifest in holding back from eating food and dropping a lot of weight. This next photo is the only photo that I can find of me at my worst. And you can see like my hair was really thin. I had bags under my eyes because I was apparently just so tired. As a result of the eating disorder. And this is probably my lowest weight. I don't remember what weight I was at during this period of time, but I do remember that this was like probably, it's even difficult for me to remember what I was like during this time. Like this period of my life is almost blank. And so I have to defer to my parents when I think back to this period of time because I literally don't remember what it was like. Part of that is because I guess I'm getting older, but also because I just don't remember what my day-to-day was like. It was like I was a zombie going from one thing to the next. I was dropping weight drastically. I was so thin. And so this really was when things started to go downhill. And like I said, I didn't capture a whole lot of moments photo-wise from this period of my life. And so after this photo is when my parents, I believe when my parents caught what was happening, and that's when I really started to get help and started to see professionals to try and turn things around. So this photo represents, like, I know this is a quick transition from like downhill to bottom of the hill, but this really represents like that period of my life. And the bottom hill of this portion of my eating disorder story lasted for a long time. So this next photo was me transitioning, I believe, this was 2008. It was in February 2008. You know, still playing trumpet, still in the band. This is when I believe I leveled out and had started to seek out help, right? And that battle of my parents trying to get me to maintain that lowest weight to not lose weight for a long time. It lasted, like, that bottom hill battle lasted so long. I don't even remember what this period of time of life was like. All I remember is that I was in middle school and I wasn't having a good time. This photo is also from 2008. I was still on that lower end of the curve. That's my brother there as well. You can see how thin I was. You can see my hair is still thin. I still got bags under my eyes. Maybe I do now. Maybe I'm still tired. After this point in time is kind of when the battle started the uphill battle started for me, right? So I would describe this 7th to 8th grade period of my life as the bottom, meaning the worst part of anorexia for me, and trying to survive that period of time. So all these photos you're seeing are me, my parents mostly, fighting for me to survive, meaning my parents fighting as hard as they could to get me not to lose weight. Because if I would lose any more weight, I would be in a really dangerous spot. This photo was probably close to where I was hospitalized, just as an example. And so past this point, you're going to start to see me go uphill a little bit. I'm starting to get a little bit older. Years are passing by. I'm still in therapy, and it's still an uphill battle, right? So this period of time represents the bottom, and after this represents the fight to gain weight, okay? So this was February of 2008. This photo was September of 2008. This photo was July 2009. I've gotten a little bit taller. My hair obviously has grown out even more. I was really into that long hair back then. During this period of time, I still had that mentality, and I was still fighting against recovery. This photo, oh boy, we're starting to get into the awkward blunder year stage right now. Still got that mop top, still got that shaggy bush hair going on, and the peace sign with my nice Hollister shirt. This period of time in my life was also very rough because I was dealing with just being a junior high kid, that's a tough transition to make. It really is. While dealing with anorexia. And this period of time was like me dealing with my peers knowing or half knowing, me not saying anything, but a lot of people knowing what I was going through. In my high school, my junior high class was like 70 people large, if that, like 70-ish people. So it was a small school, everyone knew each other basically, and I was trying to navigate this space of recovery while also being a hella awkward junior high kid. So that was June 1st, 2009. This photo was September of 2009, and you can see I'm still really struggling. Like I really, during this period of time, it was like I got past the bottom, and I had gained a little bit of weight, and I'd gotten older, so I got a little taller, but I was not gaining fast at all. My parents will testify to this. I was fighting against every single method of recovery, and I really was not agreeable to what was going on because, of course, at this period of time in my life, my eating disorder had taken over the way that I thought, and so I was approaching recovery as a bad thing. I pictured my therapist as the enemy. I pictured my parents as the enemy even, because they were trying to take this valuable thing away from me, which is basically I thought I was right and I wasn't. And that was where the tension was for my parents and for my therapist, nutritionist, and physician. Was I thought I was right, and they were right, and so that leads to a lot of butting heads. Luckily, I respected my parents, and luckily I respected authority as well, and that in the end is largely what I think ended up really saving me. Really, though, it wasn't me. It was my parents and my support system that helped me get out of this rough spot. This is still in the bottom of that uphill phase, though. Like I'm still fighting and still pushing against everything. So September 16th, 2009. This is April 13th of 2010. You can kind of see the transition here. I started gaining a healthy amount of weight. I had gained a healthy amount of weight through this year from 2009 to 2010. I believe this was my sophomore year or my freshman year maybe of high school. You know, still got that bowl cut going on. Really like that bowl cut. Beatles-esque. That's my cousin chewing on that tube, whatever that is. I think we're at Cedar Point, maybe, which is a great place to go to. I remember wearing that sweatshirt like every single day of my life. Why? Because I was cold. Why was I cold? Because of my anorexia. I was cold all the time, so I wore that sweatshirt. And yes, I had gained a little bit of weight, but I was still not really compliant with what recovery was. And so this is 2009, 2010. You can see I gained a little bit of weight. My mentality, though, really had not changed a whole lot. And after this point in time is when my mentality started to change. And so after this, you're going to really see me gain more weight, and in a healthy way, in a really good way, and lead into what I would describe as like the best I'd felt in a long time. This is where that mental switch started to shift. If you watch my other story, I mentioned this period of time where when you gain a certain amount of weight, there's like this mental switch that goes off in your head. And when that switch goes off, the switch is a result of gaining a healthy amount of weight. It's almost like I was able to think more clearly. And past this period of time in my life, past sophomore-ish year of high school, is when that switch flipped for me, right? And so that's when I started to recognize my eating disorder behavior and see it as an external thing. It's when I started to learn about myself and who I was. And so I don't actually have a photo from 2011, so we're going to jump ahead 2 years to my senior year. This is August 31st of my senior year of high school, right? And that's me wearing a wig. I went to see a friend's play, wore a wig as a result. And you can see that I still really I weight-wise was on the lower end of the safe spectrum during this time. Like it was still really hard for me to gain a lot of weight. But I, mentality-wise, had gotten into so much of a better spot. I could think more clearly. I was more myself than ever. This June, you could see, still rolling with that bowl cut. You can see had gained a little bit of weight, but in again, such a healthy way. I was in the Music Man musical. This was 2012, March 1st. This was, again, my senior year, feeling great, feeling on top of the world. Next, we're transitioning into, so I would describe that as back then, probably that last photo, March 1st, 2012, is my peak. Meaning when I felt the best in my high school, junior high years of literally just living. And after that period of time is when I started to peak a little bit and honestly really start to level out and go downhill in my transition to college. So let me show you what that looks like. So this photo is in August 3rd of 2013, right? You can see a little bit, I had lost a little bit of weight in between March 1st and August 3rd of 2013, right? This was my transition to college. And so college, though, even though I had lost a little bit of weight, it was the result of tennis, and I was still, I was at a minimum healthy weight. Past this point, though, I was entering into college really not at a safe threshold. I wish I would have been a little bit heavier. I wish I would have gained a little bit more safety weight leading into college, because once I transitioned into college, there were a lot of things there that caused me to relapse, right? And let me show you what that looks like. So you can tell already, even just this first photo of August 31st, 2013, this was the day that my parents literally dropped me off at college. And you can already tell, from my senior year, if you go back to now, I had lost a little bit of weight. Already not really a good sign. I remember my parents being a little concerned about what was going to happen with me. I reassured them that I would be fine. But, spoiler alert, I wasn't. So that was 2013, August 31st. This was April 20th of 2014. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I had lost a decent amount of that safety weight. Like I said, I was still at the minimum of what I should have been at going into college. And so to take weight off of that, or from that point, was putting me in a really rough spot. And I don't know if you can see that in the transition from 2013 to 2014. But trust me, it's there. So this is January 21st of 2014. This is still my freshman year of college. And this is where I would say in January of 2014 where things really started to go downhill. Like I started to get back a little of that eating disorder fuzziness. I started to not think as clearly. I was getting a little more obsessive with food. I wasn't being smart with my meals. I started to make the decisions like I'm only going to eat a salad for lunch or for dinner or both today. I'm going to eat less at both of those times. Like I just started to make not smart decisions with the food that I was eating. And I really started to lose weight as a result. Also, I started to run, which was not a really good practice during this time. So I started to lose weight significantly. That was a bud of mine, and he's still a friend. His name's Ryan. And this was the summer after my freshman year. So you can see, still had lost a lot of weight. This last photo, May 20th, 2014, is really what I would describe as like the lowest during my college years. So think back to when I developed my eating disorder first. I, as a kid, was fine. 6th grade, started to develop those thoughts. Physically went downhill after that. 7th and 8th grade. Bottomed out, started to turn things around. By senior year of high school, was doing pretty good, honestly. College was doing okay. Leveled out at my freshman year of college. Things started to go downhill. This was the leading into my sophomore year of college, and things were not good. And this is when really, my parents gave me like kind of an ultimatum. They basically, which now I'm grateful for. Then I wasn't so much. They basically said, they gave me an ultimatum saying, hey, you can either gain weight or you'll have to pull out of college to focus on beating this eating disorder. Even though I didn't have to listen to them, I chose to because I respected my parents a lot and I knew that they wanted the best for me. So I agreed to this ultimatum, and that ultimatum paired with lifting weights, which I talk about in my story, is really what allowed me to turn things around and to start gaining weight again. The next photo you're going to see is about a year after this photo, May 2014, was taken. You can tell a little bit, maybe, hopefully, that I started to lift weights. So I've been lifting weights, I think, for around a year at this point in time. And again, like I said, lifting weights helped me associate positive weight gain, helped me associate weight gain positively with food, with working out as well. And so that transition from May 20th, 2014 to May of 2015 is when I gained maybe around like 10 pounds. I was still, I believe, in therapy and was still getting weighed at my college during this time to make sure I didn't lose weight. This is when I started going uphill in a positive way my sophomore year of college. Oh yeah, this photo, just so you know, this wasn't some random photo. Paul Rudd has a photo like this. Someone asked me to do a Paul Rudd-esque photo. And so this was a photo job where I modeled Paul Rudd holding, what is that? Snuggie, and wearing a pink robe with some black dress shoes. So you can see the transition though. I started to gain more weight in a positive way. I was working out more, and my Cameron Yoder mentality started to get back to me. So that's December of 2016. This is January of 2016. Made the smart decision, I think, to cut my hair, to make it a little shorter. I think it turned out pretty well. You can still see, like, this is when I think I'm starting to look a lot healthier than I have been in a long time. If you go back and compare this to like May of 2014, you can really see the difference between what I was like and what I am like in this photo. And I know that I looked, or I felt, a whole lot better in this photo than I did in my freshman year. So I think this is my junior year now of college. That leads me into senior year. Senior year of college is when, for the first time in a long time, I had the strongest grip over my eating disorder than I'd had in a long, long time. I felt great. I didn't care about how I looked, and I didn't care about how I ate. Like, I was just following more a safer mentality, building a healthy relationship with my food. And so this is a photo from senior year. I was doing something called the donut run. You basically do a 5K, but you have to eat donuts along the way. It was really fun. But you can see, like, during this period of time, I was still lifting, I was still active, but again, the focus wasn't on lifting in an unhealthy way. It was having a healthy relationship with weights, a healthy relationship with food, and just honestly enjoying my senior year of college. This brings me into July of 2017. This is when the transition in between graduation and work started. At this point in time, I'd been working at my first full-time job post-college. This is March with a big slice of pizza. This is February of 2018. Still, this is July of 2018. Still lifting weights, still just being myself. The transition into the working world was tough, but because I had such strong grip over eating disorders, and I learned so much up until that time from my relapse and from my original development of anorexia, I honestly was in a good spot mentally, with food specifically, and physically with food. Like, my weight was great. I started powerlifting a lot. I started lifting heavy, and honestly was having a great time. This is October of 2018, so getting into the fall, winter months, and I hope some of you recognize this. This is from April of 2019, which is pretty recent, and then that brings me into today of February 2020. And I feel great now about where I am, about who I am. I feel great about the direction that I'm headed. I'm going to put a photo of that worst, I would say probably worst spot I've ever been in to now. There are honestly so many things that I want to say that I wish I could say to my younger self back then. And I think part of why I'm making this channel is to speak into my past self. It's to say the things I wish someone could have told me back then when I was struggling, when I just wanted someone to talk to about what I was going through. I think it's easy to forget about the journey when we're in the middle of something, right? And so that's why I wanted to do this, was to show you honestly just the ebb and flow, the up and down of an eating disorder, of struggles. And that's not to say, or not to make you think that your path is going to be the same as mine, where it's going to take as long, or that it's going to be the same, because it's not. Your path is going to be unique. It's going to be different than mine. But this is to show you that recovery is crazy. It's an insane up and down. It's not one linear path. Like, I felt great senior year of high school, and then relapsed in college, and then recovered again through college. So it's this constant ebb and flow. It's this constant up and down. And I think looking back can honestly help us, it helps me at least, understand where I've been and how much it's taken to get to where I am now. It's okay if it takes a long time to recover. Some people it takes longer than others. Some people it takes shorter periods of times than others. I hope this video humanizes this experience. I hope that it makes it a little bit more relatable, and I hope that if you are watching this and you don't have an eating disorder, that it helps you understand just how difficult an eating disorder can be, but also what an eating disorder looks like. I also hope it just helps you understand a bit more of my story, because a lot of this, it is my story. It's I guess it's my life given in yearly photos. If you're watching this and you have an eating disorder, even if you think you have an eating disorder, I just want you to know that you're not alone. Okay, there are a lot of people present here on this channel, in social media, and all across the world who are walking through, who have dealt with and are dealing with what you're going through right now. This eating disorder is beatable. It's surpassable. You can heal and recover from it. Recovery is possible. Really, that's all I wanted to do for this video, is to walk you through my story, my life visually, was to walk you through what the progression of an eating disorder looks like. If you have any questions for me, please let me know down in the comments below. If you have any questions, if you have an eating disorder or not, if you have any questions about me, about anorexia, about eating disorders, also let me know down below, all right? Hey, everyone, stay safe out there. Let me know what you thought of this video. Truly, I really hope that it helped. Like I said, just know that you're not alone, whatever you're going through. Stay safe out there, stay inside, stay socially distanced. We can do this. We can stay inside for a couple, who knows how long, much longer. Yeah, that's it, everybody. Hey, stay safe out there. Thanks so much for stopping by. #KMFam. I'll see you in the next video.